I'm Chris and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay guys, it's time to get back to more reaction videos, and today we'll be reacting to one from Geography Now. Well, it's been a while since I reacted to anything from Geography Now, and now I'm actually going to react to his edition of Malaysia. So as you guys know, I am a Filipino residing here in Malaysia for the longest time, over 25 years to be exact. I am now married to a Malaysian as well, and despite being Filipino, well, I've lived here for almost my entire life, and well, I'm also very Malaysian in nature. All my habits, all my slangs, they're pretty Malaysian as well. So let's check out what does he know about Malaysia according to Geography Now. So without further ado, let's react to this in 1, 2, 3, mula.
Well,
Start.
Here we go. Ever since I made the Indonesia episode, you have no idea how many Malaysians were like,
Okay, now that you did our cousins episode, do not mess with ours.
oh, don't worry, Malaysia, and here to reassure you, I made you some nasi goreng.
Nasi goreng, fried rice.
Time to learn geography now!
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. How refreshing! We are back in Southeast Asia, and today, after Brunei, East Timor, Indonesia, we are doing the last country in the Nusantara archipelago, Malaysia. Ahem.
Malaysia.
Oh, sorry, didn't see you there, Singapore. You're so small. So what do the Malaysians bring to the table that the others don't? Well, let's find out in the first segment.
Singapore's so
Cue
small.
transition. Now this is going to be really fun because Malaysia's land has so many unique twists and turns, and explaining it, it's kind of like doing a Rubik's Cube blindfolded, right, Ken?
Oh really?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. You got it?
I don't know, did I?
You got it. First of all, Malaysia is located in Southeast Asia, divided into two main parts.
That's
Peninsular
true.
Malaysia, where about 40% of land, which also has the southernmost tip of mainland Asia, Tanjung Piai, while East Malaysia, or Malaysian Borneo, takes about 60% of the country's land on the island of Borneo, making it one of the only two islands shared by 3 nations along with Cyprus. If you want to be technical, Cyprus kind of has 4, including the
So
UN
true.
buffer zone, but you get the point. Just watch the Cyprus episode. Keep in mind, about 80% of the population lives on the peninsula, while only about 20%
That
lives
is
on
true.
Malaysian Borneo. In addition, the country
Yes.
has over 870 islands off its shores,
Oh,
the state
I
of
didn't know
Sabah
that.
having the most with nearly 400, the largest one being Bangi Island. However, the island of Sebatik is a little bigger, but the island is split in half with Indonesia in the south. Also, they have a little bit of a dispute with the
Really?
Philippines in the east. The country is divided into 13 states and 3 federal territories. Putrajaya Labuan, with the capital Kuala Lumpur. However, due to overcrowding,
I live in
almost all the
Kuala
government
Lumpur.
ministries and administrative offices were moved to Putrajaya in 1999. After Kuala Lumpur, the next largest cities
okay.
are Georgetown on Penang Island and Ipoh. The busiest airports are Kuala Lumpur
Penang and
International,
Ipoh.
Kota Kinabalu, and Penang Internationals. Now here's the thing, Malaysia lies under the South China Sea. If you don't know anything about this place, and if you didn't watch the Brunei episode, it basically goes like this. Basically, every country in this area wants a piece of these things called the Spratly Islands. Today, Malaysia
Oh,
has
yeah,
claim to
that's
about
true.
11 of them, and the most notable one being Layang, which they built an airbase on. Now, you might notice that it's interesting how these two small entities, Singapore and Brunei, got mixed up into this whole region. Well, when it came to Brunei, it kind of went down like this.
Welcome to the Malaysia Agreement. Sultans, please sign the paper saying you'd like to be part of Malaysia.
Wait, I'd have to give up that? And I'd have to lose control of what? Oh, hell no! As for Singapore, it was more like,
Hey Malaysia, you just got free from British rule. Let's join up.
Make sense? Yeah, we are now one country.
Yeah.
You have too many Chinese people, and you're gonna waste my money!
Yeah, well you only get privileges to the Malays!
You know what? You're out of the
Oh
court.
my god,
Fine,
the
no, whatever.
sarcasm
I
in this
quit.
video.
One day, you know what? I'm gonna make something of myself!
Okay!
and boy howdy did they keep that promise. Otherwise, some notable places of interest might include places like the largest roundabout in the world, the Petronas Towers, the tallest twin buildings in the world,
I didn't know
Lumpur
that.
Tower, the Batu Caves with a Hindu shrine, the National Monument of Malaysia,
Yeah.
Legoland Malaysia.
Oh,
Yep, they
yeah,
have one.
JB.
Sunway Lagoon, the National Mosque of Malaysia, Kek Lok Si Buddhist Temple, these palaces, the old Dutch buildings of Malacca, the Leaning Tower of Teluk Intan, A Famosa Fortress, the cat statue of Kuching, this Heritage Museum, Sarawak Cultural Villages, and the Sepilak Orangutan Rehabilitation Center. Yep,
Wow,
orangutan.
I've
We
never
have
been
plenty of
there.
those in here, which means we can now swing over to the next segment. Duh. When it comes to Malaysia's land, they got kind of lucky because not only is it like rich and beautiful, but unlike their neighbors, you don't really have to deal with any crazy catastrophes. First of all, Malaysia rests comfortably on the bottom of the Eurasian plate, literally shielded on all sides, mostly by Indonesia and the Philippines. This means that if any earthquakes occur, Indonesia usually absorbs all of it. If cyclones and tropical storms attack,
Yeah,
the Philippines
very
and Indonesia
rare.
take the hit. And if a volcano erupts, they
Very
don't
rare
have to worry
typhoon
because they don't really have any volcanoes. That's
Malaysia.
probably happening in Indonesia.
Thanks, Indonesia.
Now, when it comes to nature, even though the largest
so
lake, the
sorry,
Kendal Reservoir,
Indonesia.
lies on the West Peninsular Malaysia side, the Eastern Malaysia Borneo side has all the extremes. They have the highest mountain, Mount Kinabalu, the longest river, the Rajang, and a lot more animals. In fact, Malaysia is one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. They have 14,500 species of flowering plants and trees, over 600 bird species, over 200 species of mammals. Speaking of which,
Wow.
Peninsular Malaysia is home to the most black panthers in the world.
Oh,
Insert the counter joke
really?
at all time. Speaking of that, the national animal is the Malaysian tiger, which is also featured on the coat of arms, which we will cover in Flag Friday. Stay tuned. Otherwise, they have elephants, rhinos, orangutans, and they even have their own
Wow,
version of
learning
tigers
so
like
much
the
about
ones in South
Malaysia in
America.
this
Wow.
video.
And that creepy-looking proboscis monkey. Many of these species you can find in one of the
Really?
oldest rainforests in the world, over 3 times older than the Amazon.
Okay,
Taman
I feel like I
Negara.
haven't been
Malaysia is
living
also
here for
a
the
land
longest
of
time now.
caves. In fact, they have the largest chamber in the world that can be found in Sarawak. Otherwise, Malaysia
I've
is
never
known
been
for
there.
producing electronics, palm oil, petroleum, gas, and rubber. They're actually the second largest palm
Yeah,
oil
that's
producer in
true.
the world and the largest condom
That I
maker.
know.
Just saying. They even have their own national
Really?
car company, Proton, making Malaysia the 11th country in the world with the capability to fully design and engineer and manufacture cars.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some national dishes might include things like nasi kandar, nasi dadan,
Oh, yes.
nasi
Oh,
kerabu,
yes.
chicken percik, mangosteen
Oh,
and
yes.
durian are treasured fruits, and the national dish, nasi lemak.
Nasi
Or if you have
lemak.
the chance, see if you can witness the famous tarik tea shows. The servers pour
The
out
tarik
tea sometimes
shows,
over a
yes.
meter in length. It's almost seen as like an art form. Okay, I think that's just about it for now in this segment. Let's talk about the coolest part of Malaysia, the Malaysians.
Malaysians.
Just for the record, the word
Demographics.
Malay refers to the races that make up Malaysia. Malayan is the geographic term for peoples of West Malaysia on the peninsula and not part of Borneo. And Malaysian is the nationality and citizenship. So a Malay person in
okay.
Singapore is Malay, but not Malaysian. And a citizen of Indian descent living in Kuala Lumpur would be a Malaysian and Malayan, but not Malay. Got it? Probably not. First of all, the country has about 32 million people and is one of the fastest growing nations in Asia. The country is made up of 67% Malay or Bumiputra indigenous Malay peoples. We'll talk more about that in a
True.
bit. About a quarter of the population is Chinese, about 7% are Indians, and the rest are other groups mixed in, including a few other Asian groups and
Yes.
Europeans. They use the Malaysian ringgit as their currency. They use the type
Eurasians.
G and M plug outlets, and they drive on the left side of the road. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk politics. No, we're not getting into an ideological debate. We're just going to explain the system in which Malaysia's government operates.
Proceed.
Malaysia is one of the few monarchies in the world. However, it's not a monarchy in the conventional sense because they kind of have 9 kings-ish. These 9 states
Yeah.
each have a royal leader known as a sultan, and every 5 years they rotate to allow one of the 9 sultans to rule as head king, known as the Yang Di Pertuan Agong. That means that technically, if you were a boy and your dad just finished being king for his 5-year term, you could be the next one, but you would have to wait at least 40 years for it to happen. You know, since 8 other kings would have to be king before you. Yeah, I know, it's like, oh, what the? There's a
They
lot more
take
that goes
turns.
into it, but that's kind of like the basic underline. They are the only country that does this. I mean, the closest thing would be maybe the Comoros with that rotating president thing, but it's nowhere near as complex as this. Nonetheless, the royals are held under a constitution that limits their power mostly to cultural and religious affairs, as well as appointing certain leaders and so on. Most of the government activity is held and controlled by the prime minister and the parliament. Which brings us to the most recent controversy, the 2018 election. This effectively changed everything, as for the first time since 1957, the BN
This
party
must
was
be
voted out and the new
not an
KKR party
updated
took
video.
over. And it was actually a peaceful transition. We really don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but it's really interesting to look into and talk to a Malaysian person if you want to know more about it. It was like a huge deal for the country. Anyway, the country has 2 official recognized languages, Malay and English. They were once a British territory, so it kind of makes sense. It's taught from elementary school. Malay is basically
Yep.
intelligible to Indonesian. Both countries can generally understand each
Yep,
other. I
that's
explained this in
true.
the Indonesia episode. For Malay, the words are easy to read, but the problem is the intonation. For example, the word for slowly, I believe, is perlahan, not perlahan. It's like you just have to know how these things work. Nonetheless, about half of the population is
Perlahan.
mostly fluent in 3 languages, adding their mother tongue, especially if they're part of the Chinese and Indian minority groups. And they are allowed
Yeah.
to take vernacular schools that teach in these languages, just like Singapore,
Yep.
which brings to culture. In Malaysia, the population is quite diverse. You have a lot of Chinese, known as the Peranakan Chinese, that have existed there since the 15th century. They have a unique Chinese-Malay culture with a touch of European influence. The Indian community
Yeah.
is mostly Tamil and Telugu-speaking South Dravidian Indian groups that were brought over during the British colonial years. Then of course you have the largest people group, the ethnic Malays or the Bumiputra, as well as the Orang Asal, whom are like the really indigenous ethnic Malays that make up the majority of the population in East Malaysia on Borneo. Sometimes these two people groups are collectively joined together under the term Malay, although some might disagree. But either way, these two groups kind of steer the direction in
How does he know so much?
Malay culture. Oh, and don't even get started on the Bajau people that live on these structures in the middle of the ocean for most of their lives, and they've adapted to hold their breath for like 15 minutes underwater. Yeah, those people are cool.
Bajau.
Another thing I really want to highlight is that sometimes Indonesians do kind of accuse Malaysians of stealing their culture because a lot of Malaysians are descended from Sumatra. Faith-wise, Malaysia is also quite diverse.
Malaysians will disagree, but yeah.
Islam, it's a multi-confessional nation. Buddhists are mostly from the Chinese community, Hindus for the Indians, Christians from all races. Numerous temples, mosques, and shrines and churches are found all over. Malay culture is defined by a number of aspects. For one, the clothing. Remember a couple months ago that guy from Malaysia, Kamarul, sent me the Malay hat, the Tengkolok? So I forgot to bring this on set when we were filming, but I still have the hat and I love it, and I told you I would wear it in the episode. So here I am, I'm wearing it in the Malaysia episode. Thank you so much, man. I asked some of you guys, the Malaysian geography peeps, what you would like me to highlight in terms of Malay culture, and some things you said included things like the performing arts such as joget dancing,
joget.
makyong theater, traditional shadow puppetry, silat martial arts, songket weaving, the traditional steep roof and sharp buttress architecture, gamelan music. Speaking of which, history time. We don't have enough time to go too far into it, but in the quickest way I can put it, Hindu kingdoms, Buddhist kingdoms, Islamic Sultanate, Portuguese came in, Dutch came in, British came in and made the White Raja period, which made things interesting. World War II, Japanese came in, British came in again.
No, Japanese were
Okay,
here?
very quickly, just to cut, this is
I
the
didn't
part
know
where
that.
I totally forgot to mention all the cool stuff that happened in the 60s. It's how they got those two states in Borneo. We'll explain more on
I like how he pops in all this behind the
economic
scenes.
restructuring and industry boom, 2018 vote for the new prime minister, and here we are today. All right, some notable people that you guys, the Malaysian geography, suggested that I should mention in this video might include people like Siti Nurhaliza, Lat,
Oh,
the
yes.
cartoonist, Sheikh Muzaffar Shukor, P. Ramli,
Yes.
Ziavi,
First Malaysian
Hang Tuah,
astronaut.
Enrique of Malacca, Michelle Yeoh, Tony Fernandez, Air
Yes,
Asia
Michelle
owner,
Yeoh.
designer Jimmy Choo, Melinda Louie,
Oh, yes.
singer Yuna, director James Wan, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Nicole An David, Lee Chong Wei, Henry Golding, and the first Prime Minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman. I'm sure there's way more famous people I could have mentioned, but we gotta move on. Time to go to the last part of this episode.
That's
Duh.
a lot though. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. Oh. 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 Oh yeah, that's so true. Oh. That's good. Yeah, that's so true. Alright, whoa, okay. That was a really great video, you guys. You see, I've lived here for the longest time and I've definitely embraced the Malaysian culture and history and the study of, like, you know, getting to know people and food and everything, but there's so much I learned more in this one video from Geography Now. You see, I'm amazed at the amount of information that he got correct, including in terms of the demographic and all the history of all the different ethnicity that is here in Malaysia. That's why we have the term. One thing he did not mention is the famous term we say, what, Satu Malaysia? Here in Malaysia. That's why I believe he could have mentioned that or maybe added that, but the rest of the points were really accurate. So I don't know, to all my kawan-kawan from Malaysia, what do you guys think about this video? Is there anything that you think he missed out? Because I think he kind of got them all on the right point, including the history, and there are some of them that I didn't know that I actually learned from him. So this is a really good video. He says he's going to Maldives next, right? But I'll be actually checking out his geography now of Philippines, my homeland where I came from. Let's see how accurate he is there. So anyway guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed reacting and watching this video with me. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Also leave some comments and suggestions in the comment section down below. And also, if you want to see more reactions from me, or if you want to keep it coming with your requests, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. But that's it for now. Bye! Toodles!